185milessouth.com.
Smash that Patreon button.
185 Miles South, a hardcore punk rock podcast. What's up, everyone? We are back and talking hardcore. Helping out, you know him, you love him. It is the best dressed man on the pod. It is Daniel Sant. What's up, Dan?
That's me on the beach side, combing the sand, metal meter in my hand, sporting a pocket full of change.
Respect, great album. Also helping out, it is Ben Merlis, a.k.a. Ben Edge, a.k.a. Bedge. What's up, Ben?
Welcome to 1984. Are you ready for the Third World War?
And rounding us out, don't call him Cincinnati, it is the man known as Clevo. What's up, Clevo?
What's going on? Ben took my little tag that I was going to use.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a Super 7. We're swooping on each other already. I love it. Okay, this week on the pod, we are doing a Super 7 for the year 1984. Going through this, I was like, good God, man, this might be the greatest year ever. Although when we did the podcast, Years of Hardcore, get in those archives, people, I believe I chose 1986, and I stand by it. But 84, 86, and these current times, three-way tie for the win. Good God, this is so deep. It's so hard to narrow down my list. Dan, what do you got on 1984?
Great book. No, this is an incredible year, you're right. But for me, the stuff I really love is like so much higher than the stuff that is great. Like, you know, the stuff that you're just absolutely passionate for. It's a little bit of a smaller pool in a big swath of great records.
It's the year of Victim in Pain, dude. So, like, you don't even got to bother. It's like you can just talk about the ultimate dartboard record. You know what I mean? Yeah. Choose a song. There you go. Clevo, what do you got on 84?
84, there's a lot of hits in here. A lot of big names we'll be talking about tonight. So I think no matter what the order is, I think people are going to get snaked for some songs, but I think everyone's going to end up with a pretty great list.
Lots of snaking.
Ben, are we going to be able to make it 20 minutes without you mentioning 1.5?
Absolutely not. Because I'm going to tell you, I got my State of the Union thing that I do, and I got it in there. I talk about it in there.
We'll jump right in so we can kick this off.
All right. This is like the last gasp of the first generation of hardcore. Simple, fast, hard, shouty, 4-chord hardcore, of which there is plenty this year, sort of reaches its conclusion, and the genre is at its first crossroads. I said something similar in the 1985 Super 7, but I think it really starts here. And so where do we go from here, from basic ass hardcore? And I think the main course of action is to slow it down and go more rock. You have Government Issue, Black Flag, FUs, Discharge, and SSD beginning to wear their butt rock influences on their sleeve. And the transition from the Misfits to Sam Hain, you know, that gets slower and kind of leans gothy. You got Beverly Hills Youth Brigade, or LA Youth Brigade, if you so consider them. They have a 7-inch that's like kind of slower and ominous and introspective. Husker Du leans college rock with their double LP. So this is like also the very beginning of hardcore and metal mixing, because Corrosion of Conformity's first album, Eye for an Eye, comes out this year, and it definitely has a metal influence in it, even though they start to lean more metal as the years progress. You have 1.5 still chugging along, but no longer leading the direction that things are heading. So like examples of this are the Reagan Youth LP finally coming out after much delay, and then stuff by Zero Boys, Asexuals, Decry, Naked Ray Gun, 76% Uncertain, Toxic Reasons, Marginal Man, to name a few. Olympic Auditorium in LA is starting to do on a regular basis massive shows. Gang violence is ramping up. Mystic Records is putting out about a record every 10 minutes. Nardcore is exploding. This is like the year of the Nard. BYO and SST are on fire. Discord is fairly quiet. Rites of Spring Forum put out their demo. So you have the beginning of that Revolution Summer stuff that's going to really explode the year after. And then this is also like a transitional year for Straight Edge because Minor Threat breaks up in 83 and Youth of Today forms in 85. So what do you have in the middle? You have bands like 7 Seconds, Justice League, Stalag 13, and Uniform Choice sort of flying the flag to varying degrees. And it's weird to think that all of these are West Coast bands, and I don't know if that's a coincidence. This is also the tail end of that first heyday of Oi music in the UK. And then you also have sort of the American awareness of international hardcore happening with all these comps like Peace and Welcome to 1984. And of course, Agnostic Front releases Victim in Pain, which is like a template for NYHC kind of for the rest of the decade. So you have that formula of short, fast, concise hardcore songs with breakdowns, which sort of bridges the early 80s with the late 80s New York stuff. And I know there's a lot of stuff happening in Japan, but maybe Clevo can fill us in because I don't really know much about Japan.
The Jism LP is 83. So you're off the hook, Ben. Yeah. Also, this is the year of 7 Seconds The Crew. You know, another tentpole album that is right there. So yeah, it's going to be a rough one. Dan, let everyone know what a Super 7 is and let us know the order.
Super 7 is a friendly/unfriendly competition to build the best 7-song playlist/mixtape that is then voted on by the beautiful 185 listeners. We do it in like a fantasy football style. So pick one, can pick a song by any band from a release of 1984. That band is still up for grabs, but the song is taken by that person and cannot be repeated.
Yeah. So if I take the song Victim in Pain, Dan can still take Your Mistake, and then Ben can take United and Strong, and then Clevo can take Hiding Inside. Mm-hmm. But no repeaties. Dan, what's the order?
The order is The Nard Curse, number 1, first draft pick. Woo. Then followed by Warrington's Finest. Then followed by Ohio's Finest. And then followed in the last place spot by LA's Worst.
In the Nard Curse slot, it's a Clipper fan. Boo. All right. Well, hell yeah. This is a good one for me to get number 1, but also very hard because it's like, good God, man. We all know the greatest hardcore song of all time is Blind Justice, Into Last Warning. And then also you got 7 Seconds, Young Till I Die. Jesus Christ. That's like the biggest toss-up ever. What do I take? What do I take? But you know what I'm taking. Taking Ill Repute, Book in His Cover, one of the greatest hardcore songs of all time. And like, really, you know, when Ben was talking about that transitional time between like that first wave hardcore and, you know, what would come next, like this is a little intricate. It also like, it kind of incorporates like hardcore and old school punk, like the way, you know, the bass intro, the ding, 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 ding. It's a classic formula of like slow to fast. You can like almost just picture in your head when that part's going and when the singing comes in, it's still slow. Like people are like walking in a circle, you know, and then you do a bass break into the fast part and it's like, then it's a rager. It's just a
slam.
Yeah. Slam, slam. It's a perfect song. The lyrics are like absolutely iconic. I encourage everyone to pull them up because they're just amazing. It's like as good as it gets for hardcore. You know, This Is Us, Don't Judge Us, Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover. So good. Iconic enough that I put it into a Retaliate song. Living Our Lives by Words from Book in Its Cover. What's up? But yeah, got to have it on my list. Almost every other band for 1984, I'm okay with multiple songs. And this one is one where I love this LP. I don't think there's any filler on it, but like this is the giant tentpole song that I needed. And so I'm stoked I got that number 1 pick. Ben, you got anything on this?
I just noticed that it's grammatically incorrect, which just adds to its greatness. Has an apostrophe in it, so it's like a contraction. Book and it is cover. No, possessive. No apostrophe. Anyway, great pick.
Right, because an object can't possess something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. An object does possess. It's whatever. Doesn't matter. I promise you this is incorrect, but maybe we can get a song title that has an incorrect semicolon in it as well. That would be
YAB.
the creme de la creme. Yeah, I like this. I like this record. I like this song. You will be allowed to step foot in the 805 after picking a Nardcore song as your first pick, Zach. So that's a good thing too.
Hell yeah, that's what it's all about. I gotta go back to Strand for Christmas, and don't want to get run off the beach, even though ill repute is Wainimi, not Silver Strand. Okay, Clevo, you have anything on this, or should I shoot it to Dan for his number one?
No, I just that I'm surprised and not surprised that this was your first choice, but great band, really, kind of set the tone for that. So good pick.
And I'm stoked it's going to lead off the playlist. All right, Dan, number one.
Well, first, I've got to say that the thing I love about In Control so much is that, the thing that I love about that Stalag In Control album is that they gave us the name of one of Nardcore's finest bands too. We love In Control.
Well, we'll get there. They're getting on my list for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thrown off right now because I thought something was completely going, and now do I replace what my number one that I thought I was going to settle for my number one, but now this is still available. I'm gonna have to take it. It's in the top 5 of all time ever. So there's no justice. There's just us. Blind Justice screwed all of us. Blind Justice into Last Warning. GOAT. Meh. Absolute. Just unfuckwithable. It is the greatest. The break is just... It is the pattern that everything will follow from this point on. Whether intentional or not, this is seeped into the pores of what is hardcore from here on out. Blind Justice into Last Warning. It's the best. Yeah,
it really is. We've talked this to death because it really is the best. Going 3 times on the breakdown.
Yep.
And then just the way it's like, this is like the ultimate Dan, take 2 when you only get 1, but it's like the one that we always know it's okay to do. Because Last Warning, like, it's like the end of Blind Justice, it's not proper without like that bass part coming in.
Absolutely.
What I mean?
And it was also a question in trivia that what is the best ever? Like, and this was the answer. So therefore it's canon.
Yeah, dude. It's the best. And also, like, it's wild that, we think about Last Warning like belonging there because it's like one of the songs that gets re-recorded from the United Blood 7-inch. But it's like, here it is, and this is like where it belongs on the LP. I love it. Clevo, you have anything on this?
I always say that if anyone ever asks what hardcore sounds like, I think it's Victim in Pain. I think Victim in Pain is the blueprint. The album itself. Any song off this, again, throw a dartboard up, pick any song off of this, and it's a banger. So possibly my favorite hardcore album of all time. I know I probably have given a different answer here and there, but first and foremost, it's also probably the first hardcore or the first New York hardcore record I ever heard. So, starting with the best. Fucking love that record.
It's my favorite of all time. Although, like, if you get me on an off day, I might go Screaming for Change. But, like, dude, it's so good. Because, like, it's so... is so punk still, but it's so catchy. It's like, I don't know. There's been a million hardcore bands that have played like this style since, but they just never get the catchiness. Like the rage plus the catchiness is like the impossible genie in a bottle, that no one can get, including like AF never gets it again after this, right? Like this is the one that's like this. They do like lots more albums that I enjoy immensely. But they're all like a different style. And like,
well, and with this, the recording is not perfect, but it is perfect for what this is.
It's the fifth member. You know what I mean? Like this, like raw production is like part of what makes the record so great, because you have those songs where they're scissor beating. You know what I mean? Like they're doing like ugly drum beats on some parts, but like this recording is so forgiving to it. It's just absolutely great. Ben, you have anything on this, or should we shoot it to Clevo for his number one?
I think I'm going to talk about this record a little later, possibly. So shoot it to Clevo.
Right on. Clevo, what's number one?
So I was all set to take an Agnostic Front song, but this is still here, and there's a chance that it's not going to be there. So I may have actually taken this song when we did the Boston Super 7, but I am going to take Last Rites with Chunks.
That was going to be my non-Blind Justice pick.
I figured, I didn't even think it would be here, but here we are. So we have talked this song up and down. We talked about it, or I wasn't on there, but it's been talked about on the pod. I think A-side, B-side. We talked about it on the Boston. Is this the best Boston hardcore song ever? Maybe. Is it top 2 or 3 best Boston hardcore song ever? Definitely. It's, aside from a stupid cover for a limited edition of this record, this is a perfect fucking hardcore record. It's a perfect song. It's everything you want in a hardcore song. It's angry. It's just got everything I want when I listen to hardcore. And Chunks. What else can I say? We've talked about this quite a bit, so I don't really know what else we can actually say about it.
Yeah, it's just one of those songs, like, even if you're holding out and you're like, dude, I'm not going to slam. When like the singing comes in, it's like, my brothers, we're one and the same. You're definitely grabbing a homie by the neck and entering thy pit.
When Right Brigade played, when we got back together and we played United Blood, we had planned to cover this. And earlier in the day, another band, I don't even remember who it was, had covered it. And Mark Porter texted Jesse and me from the show and was like, "Oh, someone's playing that song you were going to play." And we were so bummed we didn't even play it.
Fuck it, dude. Do side B. Just a slight bit under Chunks, but still so good. Ben, you have anything on this?
This was on my short list. Nazis Rule record covers in 1984. You got Agnostic Front and that Victim in Pain record cover. You got Last Rites with just straight up a picture of Hitler on the cover, no explanation. I don't know what the fuck that's about. But goddamn, this song rules. And here's a funny thing is Dinosaur Jr. covered it on one of their singles. And my girlfriend, who does not listen to hardcore music, has a Dinosaur Jr. singles CD back when her car has CD player, and she would listen to it. And when Chunks came on, I would just think, I can't believe she's listening to Chunks right now. It's like the most hardcore shit in the world. She's just like not into that kind of music, but she didn't skip it when it came on. So
also still a staple of the Dinosaur Jr. set list.
Right on.
Sick. So sick. Dan, you want to touch this, or should I shoot it to Ben?
This was going to be my number one, thinking that Blind Justice was gone. It's so good. His voice, the way it ramps up for the second verse and on, like he's hard right out the gate, but then second verse, it's way more, like even more screamy and more like, it just ramps up so good. I've listened to it a lot this week in preparation for this, and God, it's amazing.
Well,
It was
yeah.
with your number 2.
Ben, are you taking Young Till I Die?
Fuck yeah. It's like one of the best songs ever.
That was going to be my number 1.
Of any genre. This wasn't going to be my number 1 because I just assumed someone else would have taken it by now. And I think I picked this song in the Straight Edge Super 7, but there's no rule against picking the same song for a different Super 7. So, of course, I'm picking it. It's just like, man, you got that guitar intro with the that 4-chord genius. And then it's just like the same chords played faster, and it's just amazing. And then there's recently Kevin Seconds was interviewed, and he talked about like how he wrote the song, and he said he was working this horrible job that he hated at a casino, and he wrote the lyrics to it on the back of like maybe on a poker chip or something like that.
He must write really
What?
small.
Is he one of those
on a,
guys?
on a betting slip.
It's like when you're,
Maybe it was one of
Yes.
those slips to
yeah, like when you're on vacation, they're like, "I'll write your girlfriend's name on a piece of rice." Like I didn't know he was one of those guys.
maybe I'm telling the story wrong, but anyway, the song rules. Come on, I mean, do I need to sell any of you on this? It's like canon. If you had like 5 songs to play for someone to tell them what you love about hardcore, this is going to be one of them.
Yeah, it's wild. So like a lot of this 1984 stuff, maybe we'll be quick and we'll be out of here in 45 minutes, because we've talked everything already. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why we haven't gotten to this 1984 Super 7 yet, because for a long time, 7 Seconds to the Crew wasn't on Spotify, and for a long time, AF, Victim in Pain, wasn't on Spotify. So we're like, we can't do 84 without those 2 records, and like they were not on streaming at different times. And it's just like, well, like that's it. If you don't have the Crew and you don't have Victim in Pain, you don't have 1984.
Victim in Pain was doing the hokey cokey, like in, out. Like it would come up and then it would be gone and then it would be there and it would be gone. It's so weird.
Just like a Dan in his early 20s, always in and out. Playboy. All right. Let's see here. My number 2. Jesus Christ. Can you guys talk on 7 Seconds a little longer?
Well, I wonder if Kevin did braids as well as writing his girlfriend's name on rice.
I know. You got to have the whole gamut. All right. I'm going to take... God, what do I take? I have so many options, dude. Of bands where I only have one song that I want to take. Shit. Chunks and Young Till I Die were like, I thought maybe I'd get one of those. All right, out the gate, I'm going to take Stalag 13, Black and Gray. Conditioned is one of the greatest hardcore songs ever, in my opinion. The song that opens the album. And again, like they'll repeat it with the classic like little bass intro part. But Black and Gray, one of the greatest pussy songs of all time. Mid-tempo banger, but it's nice. It's melodic. It's like the surface of a lake. That riff, like the way it starts, just gets you straight in the feels. And also, with talking that a lot of like this early punk and hardcore, like the recording is the 5th member, like this is a great example of that. Because like this song got re-recorded like later in their career, and all that soul is just stripped out because like it doesn't have like that rawness. And that's one of the best things about like some of this 80s hardcore, when they like put a little bit of melody in it. We never get it again, like in the history of music, because there's just something about like that little bit of melody juxtaposed with that early punk raw recording that is like so magical. And bands just, they can't get that anymore. Like, I don't know. It would be pretty spectacular if someone went in and, we talked that Speed Plans record for, I think, episode 200. It's so raw. It sounds like 1982 Boston, right? It would be interesting if a melodic band went in and like intentionally tried to get like that recording, to see like what would happen. But it's like only the bands with no melody go to get a raw recording. Anyway, that's kind of a long way to get around that this song is just a perfect punk song, and I absolutely love it, and it's on my list, and I'm allowed to walk in Oxnard without, getting hit over the head by a rock or some shit. So, Ben, you got anything on this?
This was on my possibles, my short list. So, great pick. This is the song I think of when I think of this record, and I love how like you talked about this before, which it never even occurred to me that this is like a social experiment. Like what would happen if you took a hardcore band and and went into a really nice studio and paid a lot of money on the recording, oh, it would come out fucking awesome. Like, it totally goes against everyone's preconception of, hardcore is all about, being as shitty and raw sounding as possible. It's like, not always. This is incredible.
That's right. Clevo, you want to touch this, or should I shoot it to Dan for his number 2?
No, just another great pick. But again, like I said, I think we're gonna just have great picks all night. So, yeah,
dude, 1984, hell of a year. Dan, you can touch this, or you can take your number 2, or both.
Well, I will say that you can walk in Oxnard without getting hit by a rock, unless you don't give Dave Dog a piece of pizza.
That's right. You got to hook up Dave Dog with a slice. Everyone knows that.
And then you'll be chased around a car. Okay, I am gonna go with an iconic piece of punk music. I'm gonna go with "Rats" by the Subhumans. I mean, what can you not say about this? It's an incredible anti-greed song. It's about organizing. It is true anarcho-punk classic methodology by having the strange little ditty that sounds like it's sung in a village square, like the medieval like sing-along part just in the middle. And then it has like a proto-industrial breakdown mosh at the end with piano and everything just sounding like fully gained out and crazy. The lyrics are so good. Subhumans are leading the way that punk is understood in the world at this year. I mean, I cannot speak highly enough of this. It is catchy, it is aggressive, it is beautiful, and the artwork is incredible also for the whole EP. Labels is another song that I could have taken off of this, but gotta go with Rats. It's just so sick because the Rats have all gone underground, but we'll be back again next time round.
Yeah, this art is so iconic. And this was on my short list. There's 4 songs in the 7-inch, and this would have been the one that I took. This is a great pick. Ben, what do you got on this?
I had Labels as an honorable, but I don't know if I've said this before on the podcast, but my standard speech about the UK Subhumans is that they are the total package. You have great songs, played well, great recording quality, amazing art, and totally consistent. Like, there's like maybe one Subhumans record I'm not that into, but like, it's just like, no, and lyrically, they have a lot to say. It's like every box is checked, and I don't think there are any other punk bands that have every box checked for multiple releases over multiple years. So,
well, and you're forgetting one part, Ben. Pay no more than 90p. They're also looking out for the punk in the street.
The cheapskate in all of us. Yeah.
Clevo, you want to touch this, or you want to take your number 2?
No, I was just gonna say, like, just the packaging, like that. There's just something about that packaging, just like the black and white, the starkness, the look of it, just sort of the whole feel is just like so punk. Like I said before, like Victim in Pain sounds like hardcore. Like if you wanted to say like what does punk imagery look like, this would be a great example.
Hell yeah! All right, number 2.
I am going to take from one of the multiple records they released this year. I'm going to take the title track off of Black Flag's My War. Probably the prime example of Rollins era Black Flag. I think if you need to pick one song, I think this is it. I think, Damage is really a holdover from a lot of the earlier songs, a lot of the earlier 3 singers, whereas My War is really them just showing what they are with Rollins. Definitely coming in and just bumming out all the punks, being these weird dudes trying to be a step ahead. But I just think My War is just such a great song. It is a little long, but I don't think it drags. Fucking My War, you're one of them.
Had to be on here, and yeah, again, like when it's a toss up and there's a handful of songs you want to choose, sometimes it's best to just choose the first song on the record because it gives you like the vibe for the whole record to come. And this is it. I mean, this is a mission statement. This is I don't know. I struggle to say a great record, although someone would want to crucify me for saying that. Side A is a really good punk record, and side B, I'm just too dumb to love it, dude. Yeah. Ben, what do you think about this pick?
I think this is maybe the last or one of the last batch of Black Flag songs that would not bum out their punk audience. It's like everything after this, it's like jazzy or hard rock influenced or weird and intentionally slow or instrumental. But this is just like
bad,
hard ass hardcore, and it's fucking pissed, and it's great.
Dan snuck that in. Or bad. Respect. Dan, you want to touch this, or should we give Ben his number 2?
I'm not a flagsman, as the pod knows. Just not a flagman, Certain things hit other people in different ways. Maybe in my 50s I'll get into the flag.
All right. Let me take a guess on Ben. Ben, are you going to take Rat Patrol or are you going to take New Aryans?
I'm going to take Rat Patrol. In fact, Rat Patrol was going to be my number 1 pick because if anyone picked it, I did not have an alternate for the Naked Raygun debut LP Throb Throb. This is it. It's Rat Patrol or nothing for me. But of course I had to go 7 seconds in round 1 because that was still on the board. Yeah, Rat Patrol is like, it's one of the ultimate woe songs that's not by the Misfits or 7 Seconds. It's like, if you take those two bands out of the equation, it's like, this is as good as it'll ever get for throwing woes in the chorus of a song. It's
what about
just
P-Wise?
This body's Pennywise. It does. But it's really just kind of like a 1.5 anthem for the ages. It's like that mid-tempo melodic. It's the shit I crave. And I don't think, like, Naked Raygun has all these great songs that Zach will point out are always the first song on the album. Like, they know what their best song is. And it's so fucking true. There's more than that, though. There's good songs like buried within each album. But this is kind of the start of that. And it doesn't get as, I don't know, it's like, this is like as high energy as it gets for Naked Raygun. I think this is the most insane you'll ever find. Probably the Slam Pit at their shows.
Oh, it's fun to sing, dude. Sick ass song.
Bassline too.
Let's talk about the Clevo. You wanted to take a Poison Idea song, and we may have screwed up 85 and thought it was 84, and now it's 84, but it's actually 85. So Poison Idea, Record Collectors, like, that's kind of a wonky one for the year. I didn't take Funeral Oration, a song off Communion, in 85 because I thought it was 84, and now for 84 I found out it was 85. Like, god damn it, dude. Some of the stuff gets a little wonky. And then also, I wanted to ask you guys, is Die Die My Darling 1984? I'm seeing that right now.
It is.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's fair to take, does anyone want to talk Rat Patrol before I take Die Die My Darling?
We'll be talking about Naked Raygun some more later, I hope. So,
okay, sick. I'm taking Die Die My Darling, 1984 Misfits. I believe they broke up in 83, but yeah, when Ben was talking the woes, I was like, let me just see what's happening with the Misfits in 84. And Ben, they broke up in 83, right?
Yeah, they break up in 83, but this comes out in '84. It's like stuff that they had recorded before they had broken up. Correct.
Wild. And this is like the non-live version of "Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight" too. And this is like the first? Is it? Okay. Well, anyway, I'm taking "Die Die My Darling." It's fucking sick, and stoked I got it. And I've always wondered, is it the what's the thing where you switch from pickup to pickup? What's that called? The little knob?
Toggle switch.
Yeah, the toggle switch. Is that what's going on there? Is this like them doing the toggle switch? What is that cool ass sound in the background?
It's either them doing the toggle switch or them doing the volume knob really quickly. Wee, 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 wee.
Right. Yeah. Whatever it is, good on you, man. That is sick as hell. This is an all-time great song, and got very lucky. It wasn't on any of my lists, but I swooped it right now. Dan, are you upset?
It didn't show up on my gathering of the Juggalos, of gathering all the things from 1984. It didn't show up on that. So yeah, I'm not upset. I think it's a great pick, and it definitely, yeah. I mean, maybe even old Mommy can make it into my list. We'll see.
Yeah. To peel back the curtain a little bit, I did a brainstorm spreadsheet here for everyone and shared it for 84, and I have, let's see here, there are 95 punk and hardcore records on there. So, and yeah, this wasn't on there. I didn't find it in time. Apparently, let me double check. Nope, definitely not on there. It jumps from Minutemen to Mob 47. What's up? Okay, Clevo or Ben, you want to speak on this before Dan takes his number 3?
I might do a Misfits might come back a little later. Not sure. On the fence.
Okay, Clevo, you want to speak on this or?
Yeah, it's a good pick. It's so weird that beat that's in the background. Like once you hear it, that's all you hear.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like this song is straight up a vibe. So wild. Dan, number 3.
All right, I'm gonna. Okay. Oh, I'm all over the place now because everything's going in different directions, and I had such a plan for tonight, and you threw it off by. I was like, okay, this will probably go, and then okay, well, I am gonna take Sober off of the Uniform Choice demo. On the playlist here on Spotify, we'll just call it No Thanks. So on the UC demo, it is basically No Thanks before it is called No Thanks. And it doesn't have the epic reverb on the vocals, but it is really raw and it is so awesome to listen to. So everyone out there listening, you can find it on YouTube. You can also probably have it on a double 7-inch that you probably already have from Cargo Records. But this demo version of arguably, including Minor Threat, I might even say, arguably the greatest straight edge song ever written. I think I have to back that point up because I didn't take Minor Threat on the straight edge Super 7 because I was, out chest in certain areas. But
no, you were high.
Well, no. I had to get this song. So this is the nucleus of that song, and then later on it was even shined up a little nicer to be No Thanks by Uniform Choice. But here it is called Sober, and does it make you feel good when you drink? Drink. No, it doesn't. Sober, Uniform Choice, God tier hardcore song on my list.
It actually does make you feel good, and I miss it terribly. But yeah, this is one of the greatest songs ever. And someone put this on streaming. It just got repressed in the last 5 years by Igby, and it's a great repress. Everyone should have it. It coming out on LP is much superior to the inferior double 7-inch version of this. Yeah, what the fuck? They've acting like they're San Diego in 1991. Double 7-inch shit.
Well, let me ask you this. Does it feel better when you drink, or does it feel better when you hear this song?
I'm not going to give you the honest answer, Dan, because it's very hard, and I'm 8 months strong, and probably 10 months by the time this comes out. So what's up? So
well, let's just say if there was a world without alcohol, and if there was a world without this song, you're going for the world without alcohol to be banished because you want this song to exist.
Of course. Yeah. Yes, I want this song 100%. I love it. Ben, how do you feel about this version compared to the LP version?
I actually heard the demo first. I know I'm sounding like, I was listening to this in 84. No, in the 90s, I bought the CD of the 84 demo before I bought Screaming for Change. So I heard them in the order in which they were made. And the LP is better, but this demo rules. And I had another song on my short list for this. I think the big difference is his voice gets more muscular on the LP. He's got more of just a voice like this. And the cool thing about the year 1984 is, Minor Threat's broken up, and you have Uniform Choice and Stalag 13 sort of trying to sound like Minor Threat, and they end up sounding like each other more than they end up sounding like Minor Threat. Just my opinion.
It's the surf.
Yeah.
I think that the two songs that sound the best on this demo, compared to Screaming for Change, are like the two longer songs off Screaming for Change, Straight and Alert and Uniform Choice. I think they just sound more raging on the demo, but otherwise, Screaming for Change bodies this. Okay, Clevo, you want to speak on this, or you want to take your number 3?
No, kind of along the same lines. I definitely had this on my honorable mentions, but I think that Scream for Change being, just like such a god tier record, it's hard to match up to that. Still, No Thanks, Sober, whatever you want to call it. Is it the best straight edge song? I possibly think so. So yeah, fucking great.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this version is better than No Thanks on Screaming for Change. It's not, but this is so interesting to hear the nucleus of the greatest straight edge song ever.
Well, it's also the only Uniform Choice you can take in 1984. So
exactly, and I want me some Uniform Choice.
You're not going to hear about not taking a Uniform Choice song since like other songs you didn't take in other playlists.
Yeah. Someone will have a problem with this anyway. Like, it's me picking this, so there's going to be someone out there. Staffen, I'm looking at you.
I think that Ben might out hipster you and try to take something off the Verbal Assault demo. We'll see. Clevo, what's your number 3?
So number 3, I'm going with the song. This was hard to pick a song off of this record, but I'm going to take New Aryans off of the Reagan Youth LP or EP or whatever this record is. This record, on the surface, if you looked at it, could possibly looks like the sketchiest record you could own. But I love how Reagan Youth uses all of this imagery to basically just clown, Republicans, white supremacists, the status quo, everything. Even like the language they use in this, where it's like final solution for the New Aryans, death to the Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan, saying stuff like fatherland, on the song Reagan Youth, just shouting out Sieg Heil. I don't know how well that goes over all the time. Like I said, any song off of this record, you could have taken. I did go with New Aryans, though, mostly for the New Order, No Order, Disorder at the end, and also that guitar riff at the beginning, that boom 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 this is a record that was also reissued by New Red Archives, or a version of it was reissued by New Red Archives early that was that was just sort of readily available. So I got turned on to this pretty early and was just kind of weirded out. I was like, what is this record with Klansmen on the cover and say like shouting Sieg Heil and all of this. So it's really crazy. But when you get down to it, definitely, Dave R.I.P. was, lefty, just like totally just poking at all of that, all of the status quo of those, Reagan years.
Yeah, this is the song, in my opinion. This whole record kills. I think this is canon. I think this is like one of the greatest hardcore records of all time, and so palatable. Not to beat this into the ground, but talking about the recording being the fifth member. I mean, this is one where this recording is so perfect. And there's just that hint of melody, that makes it palatable for people that like aren't ready for like the full on savagery of early 80s hardcore. It's so tuneful and so catchy and so good. And yeah, just out the gate, those little guitar hooks. So good. And then, yeah, that little vocal hook at the end that you're talking about, and then going back into like the initial chord progression, it just feels so good. I love it. Ben, you want to speak on this, or you're taking a song off this later, aren't you?
Yeah, and this was going to be my pick, so you jacked me. I got into this pretty early on as well. One of the all-time great albums, definitely top 3 album for this year. So I've been listening to this for like more than 30 years, and flanger is my favorite guitar effect. And I never noticed until today that Homeboy has flanger turned on the entire album. There is not one note this guy plays that isn't done through a flanger. So maximum respect.
And that's everyone's lesson for the day. Never stop learning. 30 years later, Ben learned something. Okay. Yeah, this is, oh God, it's so good. I'm like artificially taking this and Agnostic Front like later in my picks just because I got 4 songs for both. Just because that's how good these records are. Dan, I believe you actually covered a song off this. Do you want to speak on it, or should I shoot it off to Ben for his number 3?
Well, I will probably be revisiting this, and yes, we covered something, but I don't think it's on the 84 release. And so that's, I kind of wanted to ask about that, because it's not on the 84 track listing, but it is on, it did get recorded with the rest of this stuff. But I mean, this is the filthiest guitar tone of all time. And when I say filthy, I mean fucking the greatest level of filth on it. I got into this band because the Beastie Boys recommended them. Like when I was a tween, the Beastie Boys talked about this band and I sought it out. And then, yeah, of course, instantly I'm like, what's this fucking Klansman shit? Like, this is crazy. And the first song, Reagan Youth, you're like, you hear the Sieg Heils, you're like, this is really bad. And then you're like, oh no, okay, it's fully tongue in cheek, But initially, like when you're checking it out for the very first time, you're like, what the fuck? But God, it's the greatest. It's so good.
There was a recent reissue. It's definitely on streaming that has the original R Radical mix. And it has the original track order with New Aryans leading off the record. And it's CD only for people like Ben that want CDs.
People like Ben.
Speaking of Ben, let's shoot this off to a man who's never been accused of having no class. Ben, what's your number 3?
I didn't even realize till right now that the original track order begins with New Aryans. So let's just recreate this entire album. I'm going to pick the second track off this album, which I thought was the first track, which is Reagan Youth by the band Reagan Youth. I had something else lined up, but fuck it. I'm picking Reagan Youth. This is like their feel good song. Most of these songs you can't really go wrong with, but this is kind of like their raging feel good anthem about, how we're all fucked because Ronald Reagan's president.
You just want a song that says Sieg Heil.
Yeah, and think about so far we've got a Nazi shooting someone in the back of the head in a mass grave, just straight up Adolf Hitler on a record cover, and we got a fucking Klansman. We're doing really well right now.
Yeah, it's not great, people.
Well,
not everything about 84 is great.
That's the power of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher being in power at this time, though, for real. Like it elicits strong artistic protest.
Right
That's
on.
Some shit. Okay, we can talk Reagan Youth until the wheels fall off. In fact, maybe I should just take a song and we keep it rolling.
Do it.
Let me decide. Yeah,
And I will.
I'm gonna go the other way. I'll take a Reagan Youth song next, maybe. But I'm gonna take an Agnostic Front song. This is brutal. Because I could take Your Mistake, one of the greatest hardcore riffs of all time, but I think I'm gonna go United and Strong this time. I've always been on the Blind Justice Last Warning tip, but now I'm free because it was taken, and now I can take this. I love it. It's like scissor beat done absolutely perfect, and like the verse is like so short, right into a chorus, and like, oh my god, the way he like dances on the shit is just so good. He's like on the chorus, he's throwing out so many words, and somehow it's like still catchy. Like there's like a slight bit of tunefulness in his voice that like ties this whole record together and makes it catchy. And then there can never be too many anti-racist songs. There can never be too many unity songs. Here it is, all in one song, an absolute perfect scissor beat, hardcore blazer, Agnostic Front, United and Strong from probably the greatest hardcore album of all time, Victim in Pain. Yeah, that's what I got. Dan, what do you think about this stacking up against your pick?
Well, you know what? This was going to be my AF pick if the Blind Justice Last Warning combo was taken, because does it get any better than United and Strong, Blacks and Whites, United and Strong, Punks and Skins, United and Strong for everyone? Like, fucking tattoo that on everyone's face.
Yeah.
Make it mandatory.
Yep.
People are like, Punks and Skins, I don't even like that. Tough. Get it on your face. It's incredible. I mean, it's fucking unreal. Like, respect. Like, respect for having this song on your list. There's only one other part, but, well, actually, I'm not even going to get into things because, you never know what's going to happen later.
Real people be themselves, not weirdos. That was my heart back up. That line is so sick.
Do you think that's an LA 1.5 diss?
I hate that line because it's like, what's wrong with being a weirdo? The fuck? And I don't mean the band The Weirdos. I mean just being a weirdo.
It's just like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of attention whoring. Just be yourself. If you're a legit ass weirdo, then yeah, be that. But like,
That's what I mean.
Don't be a poser. I know, but he's probably around a bunch of people like, posers like spiking their hair and shit. It's like, just be yourself.
Hey,
man.
Punks and Skins.
You want to?
True. The real ones, right?
Yeah.
Just saying. I love that song. So good. That's Hiding Inside, everyone. What's up? Okay, Dan, let's take what are we at? Number four? Number four.
Well, you know what? It's still on the fucking board. So I'm going Victim in Pain.
Yes.
Like, I thought I was going to like spread these picks around, and it's still here for round 4. Fuck it. Give me Victim in Pain. Like, does it get any better? Like,
only when it's United and Strong or Blind Justice into Last Warning. Or
yeah, but I think
possibly
Victim in Pain versus United and Strong, like, it's a bloodbath.
Yes.
Like, only one of them is walking out alive.
Well, I think those two are in a knife fight, and then Your Mistake might come in for the victory. Drop that final elbow and get the pinfall.
Well, here's the thing. We've heard this so many times that it still obviously hits you right in the feels. It hits you in the adrenaline. It hits you in the goosebumps and everything. But you've heard it so many times that, but why am I going insane? Those parts, you're used to it now. Now, erase this from your mind and listen to this song for the first time. Try and do that. Wait till that part hits you, and you're just like, "Oh, this is the fucking greatest thing ever!" Like, it is incredible. I just want to thank Rogelio Mireille for writing this, and for Stigma just standing there and looking fucking cool and playing this to perfection. This is the greatest. And you know what? I'm so glad I swooped back in and snaked this.
Yeah, Kabula, you hear this? Dan's putting no respect on your name. So he lives on 123 Main Street in Oakland. What's up? Go get him. Yeah, dude, this is so great. Again, it's just like raging fast, unrelenting hardcore into a catchy chorus, right?
Yeah.
So many bands can do the hard, crazy part, but so many bands cannot do the catchy part. And this is like, it's just magic. They put it together, and that's why it's so great. You could take songs on this for the rest of your list, you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone would argue against you. Hell yeah. Okay, Clevo, let's go to you for your number 4.
So I'm going to go back to Naked Raygun, and I'm going to take the song I Don't Know off of the Throb Throb LP. This is the weirdest song, too, because it has that weird sort of mosh skank halftime beat when it goes back into the I don't know, that little halftime beat there. One of the few Naked Raygun songs that's not an opening track, taken in these Super 7s. But yeah, after Rat Patrol, this is, Rat Patrol, Surf Combat, and this are probably the standouts from this LP. But I love that the way it goes into the little moshy part, which is kind of out of place for Naked Raygun.
Ben, how do you think this song stacks up against Rat Patrol?
Rat Patrol, number 1 by far. And then I actually agree with Clevo. Surf Combat, I don't know, would probably be tier 2 on this album.
Hell yeah. Ben, jump in and take your number 4.
All right. I just want to do what the cool kids are doing, which is picking an Agnostic Front song. Actually, I want to do this because this song, or this whole record, is like 15 minutes long. You can listen to it from beginning to end as if it were one 15-minute long. Oh, and that might be a future pick of mine too that I just heard.
I have my mic muted and it still is just coming through. That's the power. That's the power of them.
But speaking of New York, so I'm gonna go Society Suckers, and I think what I really like about this song is Walter Schreifels did an acoustic cover of it, and it really made me think about the song, and like you could make out all the words that he's singing, and it's like there's this lyric of like, too much pressure, your mind is busting, and it makes me appreciate the original version that much more. You got scissor beat verses going into 2-step choruses, scissor beat verse, 2-step chorus, scissor beat verse, 2-step chorus, and we're out. And it's like, it's just amazing. It's like, you have Roger screaming, and then and there's this like guitar overdub thing that's like twice as loud as it should be, which I agree with. I love it when that happens, and you got that meow towards the end. You can't go wrong with any song on this album, but this actually was the number 1 song I wanted to pick for it, and I'm glad I got it.
So crucial. I mean, this is like the classic punk, slow to fast, you know what I mean? Or fast to slow, although they're doing their own take, like Ben said, is Blazer into the 2-step. And yeah, I mean, like that line, you think you've got everything, but you really got nothing. It's too much pressure. Your mind is busting. Like, fuck, dude. There's so much good shit on this record. Like, you literally cannot pick it apart. It's perfect hardcore. Okay. Hell yeah. Let's
Well-
see. Now I got it. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say it's arguably the most like vibey NYC name for a song too. Like Suckers. Like it's just so
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. Society sucker, dude. So ill.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take. Fuck. Yeah, like I said, I didn't take a Reagan Youth song immediately because I had 4, and Clevo took probably my favorite. But let's see here. Let me get a mid-tempo banger on my playlist. I'm gonna take "Are You Happy?" This thing hits so hard. His vocal pattern and like the performance on the verses is just perfect punk singing. And then those little like guitar accents on the chorus, the ding, 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 ding. Are you rather happy? Good God, man. Perfect song. USA might be the catchiest song. And then I Hate Hate is like that YOLO ass vocal performance on like the beginning is like undeniable. But I think, yeah, I'm good with Are You Happy? This record rips, and let's take the time of not speaking on this song, but Ben, do you know what is up with like those other recordings that come on later, like the No Class, and there's like 3 songs that get like re-released as a piece of this, but like I can't find where they are.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's a different EP. They're not comp tracks. Like are they just from this recording and they get put on collections later?
I was today years old when I found out that this original record only has like 7 tracks on it. Maybe
Same.
Clevo knows.
I'm a new Red Archivesman.
So I don't have the absolute answer, but like I said, there's a recent like as within the past year, New Red Archives put out an anthology that's 1981 to 1984. It's called Disorder Now, and it's got the original Our Radical mix, and then it says Brave New World and Any Town were outtakes.
Okay.
And then there's a couple alternate versions, but there's no like record. I don't see any recording info on that. But also, New Red Archives in 1990 is the Volume 1 record, which is probably what most of us got turned on to Reagan Youth from. If you didn't,
Absolutely.
if you weren't
Yeah.
there, yeah. So. Volume 1 is a reissue of Reagan Youth's 1984 album with an additional 3 tracks: No Class, Any Town, and In Dog We Trust. So seems that was just that session, and they only, for whatever reason, only put the songs they put on the EP. Because like, how long is the actual youth anthems for the New Order? What
Sure.
the running time is like. It's only 1, 2, 3, 4. It's only 7 tracks. Like it's not like they couldn't have made it an LP.
Well, what they could have
Right,
been
and they
doing
put it on.
was-
They put it on 12-inch. That's like
Yeah.
why it's so wild. Is like it's not like it's a 7-inch and they didn't have the space for it. Like
I have a theory.
and it's
I
not
think-
like those, well. Let me finish, Dan. It's not like those 3 tracks suck. Like this is so infuriating. What the fuck?
I think they recorded an LP and then recorded a 7 inches worth of stuff, and then maybe it didn't see, the light of day because the LP took forever to come out. So maybe those 3 songs were going to be on a 7-inch.
That's true. Yeah, they could have thought that those 3 were going to be a 7-inch. They could have thought they were going to be comp tracks. They are on the Peace comp LP from this year, but it is the song Reagan Youth.
Yeah.
So it's not like they gave them one of like those 3 songs. Yeah, it's wild.
Also,
That's a good theory, Dan.
I just poking through Discogs. There's a 7-inch that New Red Archives put out last year. That has an alternate version of New Aryans and then Any Town and In Dog We Trust.
Yeah,
So
I know. This band is wild. It's very hard to follow. But like those songs are so canon. Like
They've got PCP in their veins.
there's something wild is going on. All right, before we get hooked into that PCP shit, Dan, take your number 5.
All right. Well, it's criminal that No Class is not there. Like actually like legally able to be taken. So, and you've all taken Reagan Youth at this point, so I could just wait for round 7 and maybe choose something there. So I'm going to go out with my friends, put on my leather jacket, go on a full moon night, and howl at it. Sha-la-la. This Ramones song, Howling at the Moon, Sha-la-la, is absolutely incredible. I mean, my favorite thing about it, like digging into it a lot more over the last few days, is I wonder if Johnny was so mad when Joey sings "Conservatives Can Cry." I think that would be so rad. But I want to steal from the rich and give to the poor. The way that line is delivered, it can ring out in your head forever. And then the sha-la-la, sha-la-la-la-la parts are incredible. I love the keyboard and maybe even Moog parts that are in it, that like basically this is like giving the blueprint to like things like Weezer and things like that come, you know, a good 16 years later, 17 years later or whatever. This is an album where the Ramones came back hard, and the title of the LP is saying that too. They're too tough to die. Like, you can write them off at your you know, peril, because this is one of the greatest bands to ever walk the planet Earth, and this is one of their greatest songs, even though it came, you know, this later on into their career. It is incredible, and I love it.
This is like straight up one of his best vocal performances.
Absolutely.
Like the way he goes from like hanging back to like belting it, like, rolling in the wind. Like when he nails those like those lines, when he belts it, it's like, good God, man.
Yeah.
Obviously he's a legend in his own right, but like I just feel like he's channeling a little bit of Danzig here on this song. Like, it's so sick. I love it. And that's the thing, like, you know, the Ramones, beyond those first 4 records, some of their best tracks are like later. You're not going to get like that solid album that bangs all the way through with no filler, but some of the best tracks, dude. And like, this is one of them. You know, you can always pluck a couple tracks off those later records. Ben, what do you have on this?
So when Dan accidentally played a piece of it, I totally should have just stolen it. It would have been the greatest Super 7 moment ever. I'm kicking myself.
Yep.
And it wouldn't have been, this song was already on my short list. So it's like, I was probably already going to pick this song. So I'm kicking myself for that. Interesting thing about this song, it's the only song by the Ramones, even on this album, the only song period produced by Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics, the man from the Eurythmics.
Sick.
And if someone in 1983 told any punk rocker, yo, the dude from the Eurythmics is about to produce a Ramones song, I think it would be reasonable to get really scared and think that's a bad idea. Not that the Eurythmics,
not in 83. Maybe if you look back like 6 years back and think it, but I think 83, the Eurythmics are on the cusp of doing lots of interesting new things.
Well, the Eurythmics are enormous. That's their heyday, like 82, 83. Yeah. So, but I'm saying as a punk rocker, like, hey, this synth guy is gonna produce a Ramones track that has the potential for going wrong in so many ways, but my God, they hit it out of the park. It is one of the best Ramones songs ever.
Yeah, hell yeah. Clevo, you want to speak on this, or you want to take your number 5?
I feel like a hypocrite not taking anything off this record, because I have a tattoo of a Grim Reaper being impaled on his own scythe, and it says "Too Tough to Die" on it. So,
yes.
Oh, that's epic.
Yes.
I also have a young until I die tattoo, so I really dropped the ball on 2 things on this Super 7 here. So,
well, you can still get chunks on your on something.
Yeah, you know, it's the Eurythmics. It's 84, but dude from the Cars does "Rock for Light" like the year before this, right? That's like lubing the wheels a little bit.
Yeah.
Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Cleo.
I'm gonna take the anti-CMX song "Desperate Hours" from the Victims of Bomb Raid 7-inch.
Yes.
So here's the thing. I don't know a lot about this. I know it's classic. I know I like it, but to speak on it, it's just like one of those things that I discovered much later than 1984. This is just classic D beat, just like so dischargy. The vocals are just so strong, so powerful. It just sounds angry and dischargy. Reminds me a lot of Bastard, which is, I'm sure Bastard took a lot from this, but man, this is so fucking. This is another one that anything off this record would have been a great pick, but I just think this song stands out from the rest of the record.
Yeah, smelly hoodies all over the world with patches sewn on by dental floss are ringing out right now.
Yeah, I had the Set Me Free song shortlisted. So we're choosing different tracks, but this thing bangs. The Discharge LP, the Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing comes out in 82. And then their band kind of falls apart sometime after that, right? Because they do Grave New World, I think it's 86. And that's like when they suck already. One of the dudes leaves and does Broken Bones, right?
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Broken Bones has a record in 84 and it's pretty good. I never took that dive. I don't know a ton about that, but it really feels like these other bands like picked up that D-beat mantle and ran with it. And like this being one of the most notable ones. And also like this record. So they do Raped Ass like the year before this. Great album title. Shout out. I think that's in 83 and this is 84. And this recording is so clean and so good. Where Raped Ass is like it sounds like it sounds.
Sounds like a raped ass.
Right? It's like pretty rough. But great tracks for D-beat. But like this is like, oh, they like upped the recording, but like it still sounds raw, is savage. Like these dudes are taking that D-beat flag, running with it, and like they're like proper dudes to be like, running with this sound and being like one of the tentpole bands of this like shit. So, Dan, do you think that's fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is very fair to be critical of Discharge by this year because they put out that 7-inch The More I See, and it's not good in 1984. It's not good. So the Broken Bones guy was right to go and synthesize down into that. And then, I mean, you're completely right by saying the bands that follow Discharge in this scene actually are doing a lot better and taking it a bit more brutal and a bit more keeping on that political slog and just doing interesting things.
Yeah, and this band rips. Like I think that when we did the 92 or 93, I think I took a song. So it's like their stretch is like long and solid ass discography, man. Hell yeah, I love this pick, Clevo. Okay, let's go to Ben for his number 5.
It just occurred to me that the best thing Discharge could have done for the whole D-beat scene was to, eat their own dick and turn into a shitty metal band, because it did open the doors for all these other bands to come through, for all the people that were hungering for that classic Discharge sound. For my number 5, I'm going to go with, well, first I'm going to pass that Quran, get the radio on. It's time to listen to our favorite DJ. We got the rockin' Ayatollah, and he's burning it down 24 hours a day. I'm talking the FUs, Young Fast Iranians. This is from their third album, Do We Really Want to Hurt You? And it's just the most fucking amazing rocking punk song. One of the most amazing rockin' punk songs ever. FU's Gangrene and Jerry's Kids, they all come out in 82 on those comps, and they are all blazing fast hardcore bands, and I fucking have trouble telling them apart. But then, like, a couple years go by and FU's just stands out ahead of the pack with this song in particular. It's from the perspective of a suicide bomber, and he's like, we're rocking and a rolling. We're gonna kill people. We're gonna commit terrorist attacks, which is sort of like similar to the sarcasm of Jello Biafra singing "Kill the Poor." It's that sort of like real dark humor that we love so much from punk rock music. Clevo is a Boston resident. Do you have feelings about this song?
It's a great song. I never reach for the third FU's LP. I probably should more often. I know. Shout out to listener Dave Murphy. Dave Murphy always talks about this record, and I just kind of never go to it. But this is probably the one song that you probably always hear off of it.
I had this when I was like 20 or something and sold it. I didn't love it. And FU's is a cool band. It's an interesting band that like the second record is like the best. Like a lot of bands, like generally like the first one is. And yeah, this third one isn't terrible. It's just not that great, where that second one is so good.
It's funny because I was looking through and trying to pick like, do some research and look at records for this playlist. And I was looking through the like kind of like the discogs of different labels, and a lot of like the bigger or better known labels don't put out don't put out a lot of records this year. Like there's only a few records on Discord. SST like doesn't really put out a ton of stuff in 1984 because they're putting out like 7 Black Flag records. But this FU's record is on Gasatanka and not on Exclaim, which I think is such a weird thing for them to go from being on Exclaim to like just such a weird label for them to end up on.
Dude, put some respect on Gasatanka Records name. What's up? Yeah, this is I pulled it up on Discogs. Everything's Red Cross 84, White Flag 84, Marginal Man 85. There's some shit.
It's a singer of White Flag's label, Pat Fear. He is since passed. That was his label.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bedge coming at you with that knowledge. I love it. Love it. Okay, let me take my number 6. This is brutal, man. Because yeah, So Ends the Night is still there, but I think I'm going to be true to myself and talk more hardcore theory for that ass. Okay, so often on this pod we talk about the mid-tempo banger. Sometimes it's the track, right? Like it makes a record. You can bring the heat, but can you bring that mid-tempo banger? Like the Discharge LP is like a perfect example, right? If they don't have the mid-tempo banger, like still a great LP, but good God, the mid-tempo banger makes it that much better. Protest and Survive, right? And then also like we've talked about, like the great slow song can like make a band like a very good band or a great band. If you're a band that can pull off that slow song, write a classic slow song that like can make you a great band. One thing we haven't talked about a lot is when hardcore bands are doing LPs, a crucial thing on there is just like that straight up fast blazer, right? You're in and out in like 45 seconds or a minute. It's just all fast all the way through. Maybe some feel good major chords. Maybe it's a catchy singing or whatever the fuck ever. But it's so crucial to just have like that fast blazer, And there's a perfect one in 1984. And it is by the band 7 Seconds. The song is Straight On. Good God. This song is what, 30 seconds? I don't have it pulled up. It's like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And it's just perfect hardcore song. Like the singing just dances over the top of like these nice sounding major chords. All the like the notes he's coming in and out of are just perfect. It's like Kevin's maybe his best vocal performance on this record, I think. And yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. For a song that's like sub 1 minute, I've probably spent hours of my life listening to this song. And 7 Seconds, Straight On. That is my pick. Does this song, the crew is so gnarly. There's like a lot of songs. There's no filler. But I don't know if you would say it's an album with a bunch of tent poles. It's kind of just like everything's really good. Are there other tracks that stand out to you guys? Like, and would this be one of them, Dan?
Oh, this is fantastic, and I'm definitely coming back to this record. In fact, I'll take it next so we can keep rolling.
Go ahead.
But ask the other dudes their love for this, and then I'll pick.
Yeah, Clevo, Ben, any love for this song?
Yes, as a straight edge hardcore man, this is a song I love. I love how it begins, straight on, take one, rolling. And then he says, I hate the way it fucking smells. I hate the way it makes me feel. I didn't have it as an alternate. My alternates were Here's Your Warning, Die Hard, and Red and Black. But straight on, I seriously considered.
Yeah, I would say, as someone that was never straight edge, I can relate to the song because I just take it as people smoking dust. Shout out to the New York Hardcore documentary. What's up? Clevo, you want to speak on this, or should we shoot it to Dan for his 7 seconds pick?
I mean, let's shoot it to Dan because I'd like to see what he's taking before we talk about it.
Respect. All right, Dan.
All right. Well, I mean, there's still so many good ones. There's still Trust. There's still Clenched Fist, Black Eyes. But I am saying the crew is me. The crew is you. Yeah, we're the crew. This, you talked about grabbing your friend and singing something in their face. This is another one of those. You grab them, you sing this, and you jump straight in. How did you say it? You embark into thy pit, or whatever however you said it earlier.
Enter thy pit.
Yes. I mean, this is. Ain't nothing wrong with another Unity song, right? But when the Unity songs are the formula of what we will all be singing 30 years on, or 40 years on, fuck. This is absolutely essential. Like, the crew, I mean, it's the title track of the record. It is the sentiment of basically, as hardcore is opening up and bands are starting to follow the Black Flag Railroad and go around to each other's scenes, this is a song that is reflecting that, really. It's like, it's not just for Reno or Skino or whatever. This is like, Ian MacKaye and co come through. They're in the crew. Black Flag comes through. They're in the crew. Like, the crew is me, the crew is you. Yeah, we're the crew. That's all needs to be said. Hardcore kids know a bond that many other subcultural music fans will never know. And this song reflects it incredibly. So I have to have this song for those reasons.
When he said the Black Flag Railroad, I thought it was like starting in 84, like you're on the road to getting shitty. What you were talking about is much better.
Yeah, no, that's the Black Flag train crash coming in a year or so.
It's a few stops down. Yeah, it's a great pick. Again, like Young Till I Die, we've talked this a bunch on the pod too, but it is wild, the sequencing of this record, that Young Till I Die is like buried like in the middle of side B. Like, I don't know what I would love to ask Kevin one day. Maybe I should have someone reach out. But like, what went into the sequencing of this record? Like, is it just that you knew that you wrote like all bangers, so it didn't matter what order they were in? But yeah, like the placement of that song seems so wild. But I guess it makes sense in the way that like all these songs rip. Like this is another great one, Dan. The Crew. Fuck. I mean, they're all great. There's a couple on there that I don't like listening to personally, but I'm not going to single them out because this LP rules, and I don't want to hear anything negative about it. Clevo, you want to speak on this, or you want to take your number 6?
Yeah, on the record and just on 7 seconds in general, but like this is really testament that writing a hardcore LP is hard. Like there are just some points on this record. If I had to. If I was gonna give this record any knock, at times it gets a little samey, but at the same time, there's so many good songs on it. The Crew is a great one. I was interested to see what Dan was going to take before we talked on it, but Yeah, the other thing is I don't think people understand today how important 7 Seconds was as a band in the 80s, because I feel like 7 Seconds was the band that sort of everyone agreed on, or maybe it's just, the people that I grew up with and hung out with. But 7 Seconds was like the band that everyone agreed with. They toured with the Circle Jerks in 87 or 88. So, not that they should be that different, but, 7 Seconds brought out the posse crowd, but also like all the punks that I knew or grew up with were into them. The metal kids, not that they were a metal band, but like just everyone kind of just bonded around 7 Seconds was like the one punk or hardcore band they could all agree on. And I think that that's lost. I think that that's just something that people just don't realize anymore.
That's a great point. I mean, they are so critical also because, we talk a ton about the importance of youth of the day on this podcast. And I read an interview once that was like, basically they're just meshing up 7 Seconds and Agnostic Front. So like,
Really?
if you think about it in that way, it's like, good God. I mean, that's what youth of the day is, right? It's like the sound of, they're trying to do the sound of Victim in Pain with the message of 7 Seconds to the Crew.
And just a little bit more melody of 7 Seconds in there as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Clevo, you want to take your number 6?
I'm going to take my number 6, and I'm finally going to take my Agnostic Front song.
Yeah.
What's crazy is how many Agnostic Front songs have already been picked, and I'm still having a hard time picking one.
Yes.
I originally I always contend that Hiding Inside is like the Agnostic Front deep cut, because I think that song, like the song itself is great, but since it's still there, I'm going to take Power. Just because Power is like, it's like the ridiculous song on here. Like you get it's so good. Like the lyrics, whatever the lyrics are saying. But fighting in the streets, trying to deceive, regime. Like just like, I don't know what Roger's trying to get at here, but Power is just like, it's the song. It's so good.
I think it's a song from Vinny's old band.
That makes sense.
So like, yeah, I think that this is the one, because I think when I talked to Roger, I can't remember if it was a part of that interview that I did for the One Voice record, or if it was just us talking off the air. But I think he said that he wrote all the music and lyrics for everything except for one song that Vinny brought in from his old band, and then the songs that got re-recorded off United Blood, which Stigma probably wrote. So yeah, this would be that song. Plus, like now, if you go see AF, Vinny sings it. So yeah, that would make sense. That like it's a little different, and then also like the lyrics are whatever they are. They're fine, I think, but like Roger really writes good lyrics on this record. This isn't the one.
No.
Yeah.
We were talking about like how did Agnostic Front like catch lightning in a bottle on this record? Like, why is this? But I think a lot of it has to do with Stigma. Like Stigma was the only guitar player in Agnostic Front at this point in time. So like, it's like the mind and the guitar ability of Stigma just makes this record what it is. Like it's not trying to be too much of something. It's like, Stigma's a great personality, but he's not the greatest guitar player, but he's the perfect guitar player for this record.
Absolutely. And the thing about Power, I've got 2 points on this, because when I said earlier, like, I might want to talk something else that's really ill on this record. I mean, this has Stigma.
Yeah.
I mean, that in itself is God tier fucking send us to heaven in just one word, right? But then the other thing, like the way that Power, like the singing part, like listen to that and then hear like almost what Pennywise and Epitaph stuff would be from the chorus of this. It's funny. Like think of it in that way.
It's so good though. Like that note is so tuneful. Power. Yeah, dude, Social Bane. Sick, dude. And also like that riff, so simple, so good. Da 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 da. That's punk and hardcore at its best, right? Like taking something so simple and putting your shine on it to make it something special. And yeah, great track. Love it. Ben, number 6.
I was just going to say about Power, about how he yells out Stigma, from that comes, Side by Side, Alex! And the first band I was ever in, Without Reason, we had a song where I yelled out the guitarist's name, Lewis! And it all comes from that song. My number 6, I'm going to go Misfits. I'm going to go We Bite. And the funny thing about We Bite is, if you have that Coffin Case box set, the Earth AD CD has We Bite on it. And I used to think Earth AD only has one great song, We Bite. And then I found out it's not even on Earth AD. So Earth AD has no great songs. But this song's great.
You're going to get dragged for that.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Okay, does Earth AD have any song as good as We Bite?
No, it was always
Earth AD. It's the title track is arguably as good.
Disagree. We Bite's better, but
you're just big Last of Us fans.
There, I love Earth AD though. So what's up? Okay, Ben, get into it. This is a great song.
Yeah, it's just got that, it's got Robo on drums, so it's ticka 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 ticka, but the melody is great. It's got that great catchy chorus that sing along. We bite, we bite, we bite, whatever. I'm not going to sing the whole fucking thing. Not that I even know the words. Does it matter? It's the Misfits. Does it matter what they're singing? It's just fucking great music with nonsensical lyrics. And this is definitely my favorite of that 7-inch that came out in 84.
Yeah, I don't know how many times in my life I've listened to this on record. I had the CD forever, and it would have been like one of those, whatever was pressed in the 90s. So like Die Die My Darling, We Bite, and Mommy Can I Go Out and Kill Tonight are all a part of this. And yeah, those are the 3 best songs on the record. Ben is right on that. But this thing rips.
Does We Bite is on collection 2, correct? So in the 80s there's the Misfits collection, the 20 track collection, and then they put out the collection 2 around the same time as the Coffin box set came out. And I think We Bite doesn't even make it on collection 1. I think that's probably why personally I think that it may not be the top hit, but I mean it's like the Misfits, like aside from a handful of songs, like it's the Misfits. It's good.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think that Demonomania or whatever is like top tier too. Demonomania, sick. Ben, you tripping?
It is on collection 2. But if you get maybe I'm wrong, but I thought on the Coffin Case box set they screw with the order and they throw it on.
The Coffin Case box set is all over. Over the place. It's stupid.
Yeah. Well, hell yeah. Okay. Ben, let's go to you. Actually, that was you. God damn it.
Heartbreaker Round.
I'm fucked.
Yeah.
I'm fucked. Let's see here. I'm going to leave So Ends the Night on the table. And I don't give a shit. The Celtics suck. Suck my dick. All Boston sports fans don't care. Let's see here. I'm going to take the song Falling by the band Decry. This is just a perfect punk song, and I want to get it on here. I love it. It was like, I don't even know how I came across this. It might have been like in one, like some shitty punk documentary or something, and like a song comes on, you're like, oh my God, this is sick. And then like I Googled it and I was like, oh shit, Decry. What? I'd never heard of this, but for the past handful of years, this has been one of my favorite songs. It's just classic punk. I don't know how to describe it. Like it starts with a bass, kicks in with like one of those dirty guitar leads, and then that classic shit. Like the verse is like palm muted, and versus palm muted on the ride, and then the chorus just super catchy. Falling, falling, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, falling, falling. So anthemic. And they hit the chorus a million times, but it never gets old. I absolutely love the song. Ben, are you familiar with this?
Yes, the first show I ever went to at Hong Kong Cafe, Decry were the headliners, and I had to leave while they were playing because my friend's mom picked us up, at this certain time. So we heard Decry from the second floor, playing their set. But then, years later, my band Bad Reaction played with them, and it was funny. The guitarist said, "Can I borrow your guitar amp?" I'm like, "Oh, you didn't bring your amp?" He goes, "I did, but my car is like, it's really, this driveway is really long and I don't want to wheel my amp in." Like, okay, dude. I never really got into Decry. And something weird happened 2 years ago. Fucking one of them was murdered like a mile from my house where I currently live.
At the end of a long driveway.
No, next to a freeway. Homeless
That's a
encampment.
very long driveway.
Yeah, they're total 1.5 beginning to end, but never really never got into them.
Well, I'm glad I shot it to Ben. Clevo, you have anything on this, or should I go to Dan for his number 7?
You can go to Dan.
Dan, kick it. Heartbreak round number 7.
Okay, so I can't take. Well, I actually want this song that I'm taking, but there was another that I was gonna take, but it's too egregious to count for what the music, even though it is completely punk. I'll talk about it on the honorable mentions. But what I'm going to take now is I Never Needed You, the 1984 version by the Partisans. They already recorded this song on their first LP, but this is a re-recording, a completely change up on it. And it's obviously had a really kind of crunchy, very trebly early punk recording for that first magnificent LP. But then they get, a little bit of attention and a little bit of money, and someone's throwing some money while they record this. And this version I like even better than the original, which is crazy because the original's amazing. But when they get the chance to have this amazing recording, it allows almost the pop sensibility of this amazing punk song to kind of come to the fore. And the recording of it is so clean and so bright and so amazing. And what really is elevated on this is, I mean, already the verses on the original were very, very tuneful and awesome. But how we've discussed on pods in the past, sometimes when a verse's melody is so fucking good that it almost overshadows the chorus, that's when you're onto just an amazing song. And the way he sings that, "I never wanted to find out the reason of what was really wrong inside." It's so, I didn't do it justice, by the way. I did it blind justice. You've got to listen to this song, and this version in particular. I'm riding for it till the cows come home. I absolutely love this. I love the Partisans in general, but I love the weird way that 99.99999% of the time that a band re-records something, you're gonna like the original better, right? Almost 100% you're gonna do that. Usually when something gets re-recorded, you're it's never gonna be good enough. Especially the only thing Zach's rooting for being re-recorded is Human Resources vocals after his savagery on episode 200.
Dang, months have gone by, Dan, and you still haven't recovered from that, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, that and the Fat Records attack on your boy have left me just licking my wounds in the gutter. But what I will say is, really, 185 listeners, dive into the playlist on this instead of just voting on the day that we put up the voting. Actually listen to these songs, and I think you're gonna if you're not familiar with this song, you're gonna fucking love it. And if you are familiar with the original, and if you're familiar with the original, you're probably familiar with the second Partisans LP, and you'll know what I'm talking about. But for those that maybe have only heard the first Partisans record and then check this out, it's so fucking good. I really love it. Does anyone else love this?
Hell yeah. And you know why I love it? Because you got me into it. Because I think you had the Partisans on your Oi starter pack. Is that correct?
Yeah, they were my wild card at the end. Like
Yep.
there was the 4 classic Oi bands, and then there was just one more to round out the story, and I chose the Partisans.
And I bought that Police Story CD right after that. And this is my favorite song by them. And then I got into this second or whatever order, the 84 record.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, that shit is better. So you're right. Totally agree.
Oh, sick.
Dude, and they got a guy named Mark the Shark. So what's up? I love it. Clevo, Heartbreak Round. What's your number 7?
Oh man, there's so much I want to take, but I'm going to take something that probably is most important to me formatively into punk and hardcore, and I'm going to take the Damned song "Nasty." It comes out on a single this year, but it's super important to me and probably a lot of people like me because it's
The young ones.
because of the young ones.
Yes.
From the Nasty episode. Yeah, I mean, that was my introduction to the Damned a few years after this. But staying up late on Sunday nights to watch the young ones and watch 120 minutes. IRS is the Cutting Edge, just different stuff that would be on MTV that you actually got turned on to, sort of punk adjacent, new wave, alternative. When I was growing up, we called it progressive. was sort of the name of like synth pop. I guess it was so punk kids could listen to synth pop and not call it synth pop. But yeah, seeing the Damned on the young ones, the young ones itself was super important to me, getting into punk, and then but seeing the Damned on there, the episode's great.
It's the best one.
But it's also a great song.
Yeah, it's a killer track. Nasty. Also the name of Ben's favorite Euro beatdown band. So shout out for that.
Fat Ass
this
X.
rips. That's right. Ben's more of a fan of Fat Ass, not Nasty. This rips. And it's great that like this gets on and the Ramones get on, because classic bands showing they still got tracks in the year 1984.
There's a lot of stuff being left off of the list, though.
Yeah, my honorables is long, and it could be like someone's, it could be someone's list.
Definitely.
It's that good.
Can I talk this real quick?
Yeah.
Because this was on my honorables. But the video Nasty, like, whole theme, it seems like they almost wrote the episode around knowing that the Damned were going to be on doing this, talking about, they go to University Challenge and Bambi, did you do a video Nasty? Like, everything about it is the best. And in the build up to listening to all this stuff, because this was on my short list and it almost got on my list, I have the young ones on VHS still, even though I don't have a video player. And I was just like trying to find them the other night while I was like thinking about the stuff that I'm going to play on this or that I'm going to choose for this playlist. And I just said, fuck it. And I went on Amazon Prime and just bought both series and just to have them, and just went on a Young Ones binge like all last night, really. I went through like 7 episodes in a row. So
That's all there are, right? How many episodes are there? Very few, right?
I think there's 12.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2
Yeah.
series.
Six episodes per series. Incredible pick, incredible legacy of the Damned.
Hell yeah. All right, Ben. Number 7, final pick.
All right. I realize I don't have a California band on my list, and that has to be rectified ASAP. I could go Black Flag, Dan's favorite, but I'm gonna have to go with Mystic Records, The Grim, Getting Revenge in America, the song No Respect. The Grimm, it's just one of these mystic records that I picked up in the early 90s when, they were you could basically get 10 for a quarter. And it just hits the right spot with me. Jordan Lieberman, who was later in Scared Straight 10-Foot Pole, or maybe at the same time, I don't know. He's the drummer, and the drumming is just wild. It's just, man, this guy's it's like a heavy metal drummer playing in a hardcore punk band. This is the one that with the chorus, be the first to point the finger, be the last to pull the trigger. And then there's a locking groove at the end of the LP where you just hear Tim McDuffie saying, be the first to point the finger, be the first to point the finger, over and over again. These guys are from the San Fernando Valley, and they're just fucking shredding ass. I don't know. They're kind of, it's weird. There's a pretty slow tempos. I mean, this song has the alternating fast and slow parts, but in general, they kind of have a groove to them that you don't get with a lot of Mystic bands from this era. Zach must have an opinion on this because he's a Mystic collector.
Yeah, I got a fun fact about the Grimm. Hit the music. No, I'm not going to play that. But yeah, so the Dr. No record, Plug In Jesus, comes out this year too, 1984. And it's kind of on Mystic, but actually comes out on something called Ghetto Way Records. And supposedly, the reason why Kyle, notorious nice guy, decided to carve out his own little Mystic sub-label was because he, quote, didn't want to be on the same record label as that shitty backyard punk band, The Grimm. So that's why Dr. No Plug In Jesus comes out on Getaway instead of Mystic.
Which is a trip because The Grimm, in my opinion, is much better than Dr. No.
Yeah, I disagree big time with that, although I am a fan of this Grimm LP. In fact, I like all their LPs. They do I think they do another LP in 87 or 88, which is kind of like that wonky period of regular ass punk, and it's all pretty good. And they did a record a few years ago that was good. I've seen them recently. They're good. They're just a straight up pretty good band. And this record, being bright orange, it kind of stands out. I don't know. I like it. I'm stoked this is on the list. This is a good pick. So everyone check it out. And is this on streaming, Ben?
I believe it is.
Oh, sick. All right. Well, that's tight. Hell yeah. Getting Revenge in America. The Grimm. Rounding us out. Okay. Honorable mentions. I got a lot. Let me jump in. Almost made my list. Dicks. I hope you get drafted. The verses on that song are so good. Also, of course, Last Right, So Ends the Night. Coca-Cola, We Don't Drink No Booze, No Way. Let's see what else. Battalion of Saints. Thought Ben would pull some off this for sure. The song that I had loaded up, possibly to take, was The Animal and Man. The band False Confession from Oxnard. I had 2 tracks, Our Savior and Just As I Am. Possibly the greatest Nardcore 7-inch. Absolutely love it. Didn't make the list. The Verukers. The song that I pulled off this was A Lesson We Must Never Forget. Again, Dan, is this more UK 82 or are we considering this D beat?
I'd say this is the 1.5 of those genres.
Yeah.
Because the Veruca song I would take is No Hope of a Future, and that is even just leaning way more into the regular punk lane, and the one you the release that you're talking about is way more in the D beat lane.
Yeah, I was listening to this, I was like, damn, this is straight D beat canon sounding.
Yeah. But then the No Hope for the Future, Never Again 7-inch sounds like it could almost be out of Sex Pistols riffs. It's really weird. It's not as D beat as the other 2 releases that year. So it's funny. The No Hope of a Future one comes out on December 31st, 1984. So it's almost an 85 record.
Wild. Yeah, you know what? This is a notable band that I don't know shit about. Maybe we should do a starter kit on this, Dan, if you could put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I probably shouldn't have said that because the starter kit for this might come out before this episode. All right. Also, Broken Bones, Who's to Blame? Husker Du makes no one's list with a double LP. We'll all get into it when we turn 59. I had Pink Turns Blue. Great song. Dr. No, the song Crucified. Shout out Kyle. Come on the podcast or don't. I heard you're scared of the spooky flu, bro. Okay. Funeral Oration, Hell Age. Believe off the Shadowland. Anti-Cimex, I took Set You Free. Black Flag, my favorite song was I Love You off that record. Scared Straight, Skate to Live off the Narcor comp. Also Aggression, Calling for You would later be called Go to War, which is a song title that makes way more sense for that. But that song is so good. Also RKL, those 3 songs are great. US Steel is one I picked. AFU, High on the Hog. Siege, the song Armageddon, because that bass break, holy shit. And then, I had Subhuman Rats at the bottom of this. What a year, dude. Wild, wild. Dan, honorable mentions.
Your Mistake, Agnostic Front. Fascist Attitudes, Agnostic Front. Hiding Inside, Agnostic Front. With Time, Agnostic Front.
Yes.
I love the With Time. Like it's proto like vocal effects. It's so sick. Trust, 7 Seconds. Clenched Fists, Black Eyes, and obviously other songs were taken. Don't Get Caught by Crass, Labels, Subhumans, Massacred Millions, and Thatcher's Fortress from the Verucas, as well, obviously, as No Hope of a Future, which I mentioned. The Craziest Warthog, Ramones. It's just such a wild song.
Dude.
Degenerated, Reagan Youth. I'm really bummed that because I did the double AF, Reagan Youth didn't get on my list, and because it was discussed so well that I was okay with that. Nasty and Thanks for the Night by The Damned, and then the song that I was alluding to earlier that I think is as punk as it can possibly be while still sounding completely like world music is the Special, aka Free Nelson Mandela. This song is the greatest. I really was going to put it on my list, but even for a perennial line stepper like myself, it's a little egregious to put it on the punk and hardcore list for 84, but fucking check that. Can we put it as just a bonus at the end of the playlist? It's just so good, and it's the most punk. I mean, this song did a massive thing. Jerry Dammers from the Specials put this together during the apartheid times, and this song went all around the world to really put a lot of pressure on the bastards in South Africa releasing Nelson Mandela. So listen to it. It is a fucking bop.
Respect to Nelsons all across the globe. Clevo, honorable mentions.
First and foremost, Septic Death Hardware, because it's not on Spotify. The Dick's Peace 7-inch, but we talked about that at length on the Veterans Day episode that we did about, a year and a half ago. Husker Du Chartered Trips, or Something I Learned Today. The Effigies, Course in Vain. Marginal Man Friend. DRI, Violent Pacification. The Violent Pacification EP. The version of Couch Slouch is not quite as good as the version on Dealing With It, but definitely great song. Gangrene Sold Out. A lot of comps from this year, but most specifically the Peace comp, and I definitely want to give some shine to Articles of Faith, who I'm not really a huge fan of, but the song Up Against the Wall that opens up that comp is great.
Grace.
Endless Blockades for the Pussyfooter is on. Is that the second song after the Articles of Faith song?
It is. It's so wild. That going from that Articles of Faith song to that song is so wild. Although that song comes out first in 83.
Yeah. Also, there's a band on the Peace comp, Zero Defects, from Akron, who are from the very early Ohio, Cleveland, whatever you want to say. punk and hardcore scene. Not the best song. I probably would have snuck it on there if the song was a little stronger. Also, the Repo Man soundtrack and the Suburbia soundtracks, which are they, punks of a certain age starter kit.
Absolutely.
The compilation of Party Animals comps. If you're an AHC, America's Hardcore fan, you want to look out for that. Also, the Husker Du 8 Miles High cover. I know that stretches the limits, but it's a great cover. However you want to say it, Samhain or Samhain has an LP in there. Christian Death, Svart Framtid, the 1984 EP. Something I'm surprised Ben didn't pick from the G.I. Joyride record. 7 Seconds, This Is the Angry Part 2. Lip Cream and Kuro. No Trend, Teen Love. Black Flag, like I said, put out so many records. The Slip It In record and also Family Man. If you want to hear Henry doing some deep ass poetry. Not my favorite record, but the Feeders for having one of the best album titles ever. Do You Ever Feel Like Killing Your Boss? And also for putting sandpaper on the front and back cover of their record. Respect to that. COC
Factory Records ripoff.
COC Eye for an Eye. Replacements Let It Be. Sorry.
Dopey.
No, but Tommy Get His Tonsils Out and We're Coming Out are rippers. SSD How We Rock. I will say that does have the last passable SSD songs. Did I say Gangrene Sold Out and Minutemen Double Nickels? That's all I got.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's good that Lip Cream got mentioned because they're like one of those bands that people what about Lip Cream, bro? Like I love some Japanese hardcore, but that's one I could never do just because the recordings are so rough.
Aisle 3, Walgreens.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Okay, Ben, honorables.
7 Seconds, Here's Your Warning, Die Hard, Red and Black, Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain, Blind Justice, Fascist Attitudes, Reagan Youth, New Aryans, Are You Happy, Any Town, Articles of Faith, Give Thanks. I also had Stalag 13, Black and Gray, Marginal Man, Missing Rungs, Government Issue, Understand. Every band that has a song called Understand, it's an incredible song. There's like 5 in my head. RKL, Why, A Uniform Choice, Straight and Alert, Last Rites, Chunks, Black Flag, Slip It In, Husker Du, Something I Learned Today. Listen to that back to back with Warriors by Blitz. Very, very similar song. Replacements were coming out. Ramones, Howling at the Moon, Sha-La-La. Zero Boys, Drive In, Minutemen, Corona, aka the theme song for Jackass. BGK, White Male Dominance. The Faction, Friends and Enemies. Beverly Hills Youth Brigade, Where Are We Going? Code of Honor, I Killed the Dove from the controversial Beware the Savage Jaw LP. It's a love it or hate it proposition. That is a very, very strange record. The Vandals, Master Race in Outer Space. Gangrene, Sold Out. Battalion of Saints, Holy Vision. Ill Repute, Oxnard. I hear that every week when I listen to 185 Miles South. Upright Citizens. Upright Citizens, Swastika Rats. SNFU, Broken Toy. Sam Hain, All Murder, All Guts, All Fun. UK Subhumans, Labels. DRI, Couch Slouch from the Violent Pacification EP. Verbal Abuse. Disintegration. Aryan Disgrace. LAPD, which contains
you like the other side, Ben.
Which other side?
Of the 7-inch. That's very rude. Rude for you to call out that band.
For which band?
You don't know what song? Aryan Disgrace? What song that band is notable for?
No, but this song's on the compilation LP.
Okay. Right on.
I know. I learned many years later they have a song that's F Word in the Family. LAPD contains the lyrics, take off your badge, take off your gun, I'll fight you one-on-one. LAPD, serve and protect fucking assholes, I have no respect. Great fucking song. Asexuals, Contra Rebel, and Big Boys, Brick Wall.
Hell yeah. 1984 is the shit. Dan, final thoughts and where can the people find you?
Okay. I want to shout out to Staffen because Clevo got a Swedish band on, Anti-Cimex, and while we were sat here, it's kind of fun to look up. I was always like, what does that name mean? And it is the name of a Swedish pest control company, which, kind of gives it the Swedish version of Black Flag to an extent, because Black Flag being a bug spray. Anyway, you can find me on Instagram at Southpaw Instagrammer, or you can find me in the Redwoods taking Reggie for a walk. Shout out Paddy.
I love it. Clevo, final thoughts 84, and where can the people find you?
And there's just too much left on the table here. You could make top sevens. You could make multiple top sevens off of what we left on the table, but really, if you look hard enough, every year is a great year for hardcore. So find me at Clevo on Instagram.
I love it. Ben, final thoughts 84, and where can the people find you?
This is somewhat of a weird year, but there's a lot of straightforward hardcore punk if you are not a very daring or interesting person. And if you are a weirdo, there's plenty of shit for you in this year as well. Just don't listen to the Agnostic Front song that's calling you out for being a weirdo. You can find me at Cold Chillin' Book on Instagram.
Hell yeah. Everyone, get at me. Gmail's the best way. 185 miles south at gmail.com. I respond to everyone. And also 185 miles south on Instagram, Twitter, and whatever else. Also, my personal, Zach Retaliate on Instagram. And Retaliate is the best on Instagram. Shout out to George Orwell. We'll talk to y'all next Monday on Patreon. Love you all. Bye-bye.